What are Americans most afraid of? Chapman University has conducted the Survey of American Fears every year since 2015, and in their 2024 survey, the most recent survey available, the most common fear among Americans was the fear of corrupt government officials. In 2024, nearly 2 out of 3 Americans surveyed said they were either afraid or very afraid of corrupt government officials. The survey report states, quote, "Since the inception of the Chapman Survey of American Fears, the fear of corrupt government officials has been the leading fear Americans reported. That is a striking fact because the surveys have spanned a decade and 3 presidential administrations." As always, links to all my sources can be found in the description of this video. Let's connect the dots between the decade-long fear of corrupt government officials and a June 2025 YouGov survey that shows 71% of Americans are concerned that surveillance powers could be used by the U.S. government to target political opponents or suppress dissent. That 71% includes 39% of Americans, including me, who are very concerned about the government's surveillance powers. It's no wonder so many people I talk to tell me they don't speak up on certain issues or exercise certain rights because they don't want to get their name put on a list. I hate to break it to them, but their name is already on way more lists than they realize. In this video, we will look at some of the most common commercial and government lists people are on, why it matters, and what I suggest everyone do about it. I am Dr. John Padfield, an engineer turned state representative turned business professor, and this is Business Reform, where we discuss issues at the intersection of business, technology, and society. If you would like to support my work in bringing you informative, sponsor-free videos, I invite you to buy me a coffee using this QR code or the link in the description. I often talk about the twin threats to our privacy from government surveillance, also known as Big Brother, and surveillance capitalism, aka Little Brothers. But the distinction between Big Brother and Little Brothers is starting to get blurry. Big Brother not only buys our personal data from our little brothers, but the, quote, free state of Florida makes tens of millions of dollars per year selling Floridians' personal data to little brothers. To be fair, Florida isn't the only state selling their residents' personal data, and the federal government has also been caught sharing our personal data with Meta, LinkedIn, and Snap. And then there are the public-private partnerships, where local government pays private companies like Flock Surveillance to spy on you for them. Trust me, I will have a lot more to say about Flock in a future video. You may be wondering, what's the point of all this data collection by the government, corporations, and government corporate joint ventures? I can answer that question with one word: profiling. This is the first of 3 related videos I will be posting over the next week or so. The remainder of this video will focus on the data being collected about you to put you on various commercial and government lists. The next video in this series will examine Palantir and its role in profiling all of us for both commercial and government clients. Spoiler alert, since 2018, the Los Angeles Police Department has been using Palantir to predict and surveil people who might commit crimes in the future. This program has been so effective, LA has seen aggravated assaults plummet from 403 per 100,000 residents in 2018 to just 526 per 100,000 residents in 2023. Wait a minute, that's a 30% increase. Well, at least the homicide rate dropped from 6.3 in 2018 to just 8.6 in 2023. Wait, that's a 36% increase. We'll have to explore that more in my Palantir video. The third video in this series will focus on social credit scores, or as I call them, the Scarlet Number, in homage to Nathaniel Hawthorne's 1850 literary classic, The Scarlet Letter. Profiling starts with data collection, which usually means vacuuming up the digital breadcrumbs people leave online and as much other relevant data as you can obtain about them related to the type of profiling you want to perform. A lot of my recent videos have focused on reviews of anti-surveillance products and services to help people minimize the amount of data available for anyone to profile them. I will be making more of these type of videos after the current series on profiling, Palantir, and social credit scores. Once data is collected, it is cleaned, formatted, weighted, and aggregated by algorithms, machine learning, and/or artificial intelligence. This is where a lot of bias can enter the process. If the person in charge of this step believes attending certain types of protest or owning certain religious text makes a person more likely to be a violent extremist, then the output of the analysis is going to reflect those beliefs. We only need go back to last December's House Judiciary Committee report on the weaponization of the Bank Secrecy Act to read about the FBI using credit card transactions to look for purchases of religious text as an indicator of extremism. Once the data has been analyzed using whatever criteria the profiler chooses, the output of the data analysis results in people being labeled, categorized, and put into one or more buckets based on the data collected about them and the type of analysis performed on that data. Let's look at a few real-world examples of how this works with marketing lists, then we will look at some examples of government lists. According to a 2023 industry report, the average American is a member of 18 store or brand loyalty programs. These programs allow people to earn points and receive discounts, and all they must give away in exchange is their name, email address, cell phone number, and home address. In other words, they are trading their privacy and anonymity for points and discounts. How could this possibly be a bad deal? Well, if you buy too much alcohol or junk food from the grocery store or plus-size clothes from the department store, you might be put on a health risk list, which means your insurance rates might go up. Or simply buying dog food at the grocery store might put you on a list of dog owners. That list can then be purchased by a county government to send threatening letters to people who have bought dog food but who do not have a county license to own a dog. Or, if you speed while you're driving a GM vehicle, GM will sell detailed information about your driving habits to a data broker who will put you on a list of speeders that they then sell to insurance companies, so the insurance company can either cancel your policy or raise your rates. Unfortunately, many other car makers are also selling your driving habits. The bottom line is the average person has no idea how many commercial lists little brothers have already put them on. Claritas is a data broker who puts U.S. consumers on one of 68 household segment lists. They use household demographics such as your income, education, occupation, your home value, as well as what you purchase and your media habits to categorize you onto one of their lists. Are you a member of the upper crust or an urban elder? Or maybe you are more of a campers and camo type person, or a struggling single. Credit bureau Experian has a product guide, where you are the product, that has put everyone onto one of their 19 lists, such as booming with confidence to thrifty habits, based on, quote, hundreds of behavioral and attitudinal data details. I could go on about all the other commercial lists everyone is on, but let's shift gears and spend our remaining time in this video discussing government lists. That December 2024 U.S. House Judiciary Committee report I mentioned earlier states that federal law enforcement treated, quote, Americans who expressed opposition to firearm regulations, open borders, lockdowns related to a pandemic of unknown origins, experimental injection mandates, and the deep state as potential domestic bad guys. For federal law enforcement to treat people who expressed opposition to those things as potential domestic violent extremists, that means the federal law enforcement must have a list of people who express those views. Where did all those lists come from? Some of those lists came from government surveillance of your phone, internet usage, and credit card transactions. According to Matt Taibbi, one of 3 journalists who was given access to the Twitter files in 2022, agencies, bureaus, and departments across the federal government were all maintaining lists of social media accounts they wanted censored or banned. And one of the advertised features of flock surveillance cameras going up by the tens of thousands around the country is their ability to do vehicle fingerprinting, which means in addition to capturing a vehicle's license plate, it will also capture any bumper or window stickers on the vehicle. Vehicles can then be searched by bumper sticker or window stickers, which means it would be easy to generate a list of people who own vehicles with bumper stickers that are pro-life, pro-choice, pro-gun control, pro-Second Amendment, or pro whichever country you are cheering for in wars on other continents. What could possibly go wrong with someone creating a database of every bumper sticker you put on your car? Oh yeah, that could always be a problem. Still, some people say if you aren't doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. The best response I have ever heard to that statement was from a gentleman I met on one of my Brushfires of Freedom tour stops. He said, "What makes you think you have the right to decide if you are doing anything wrong?" I know I am probably on several government lists, even though I do not consider myself to have done anything wrong. I frequently exercise the inalienable rights I was endowed with by my Creator and that are protected by the Bill of Rights. I ignored unconstitutional mandates and lockdown orders. I sent Freedom of Information requests to the FBI and numerous public records requests to city and county law enforcement agencies related to their use of flock surveillance cameras. I even own books that cannot be legally possessed in Canada, France, Germany, or the UK. I am sure I am on numerous lists, just like our current Director of National Intelligence was put on a TSA watch list called Quiet Skies. Director Gabbard and I share at least one thing in common. We have never let the fear of being put on a list intimidate us into backing down. I say this from the bottom of my heart. Do not let the fear of corrupt government officials or the fear of getting your name on a list ever stop you from speaking up, standing up, and exercising your God-given rights. Let's all speak up and exercise our rights so those lists become so long that they intimidate the people making the list. I want to wrap up this discussion of commercial and government list by borrowing and adapting a metaphor from Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman's 2004 book, On Combat. In that book, Grossman explains what he sees as the three types of people in the world today when it comes to the use of physical violence. Grossman believes about 98% of the public are like peaceful sheep who mind their own business, and about 1% are wolves, such as criminals, sociopaths, and abusers who prey on the sheep. Grossman sees the remaining 1% of the public as sheepdogs, such as soldiers, law enforcement, and first responders who protect the sheep from the wolves. I want to borrow that idea, but change it from a metaphor about violence to a metaphor about nonviolent exploitation of people, their money, their rights, and their personal autonomy. In my metaphor, the sheep are all the people who just want to live their lives in peace, earn an honest day's pay for an honest day's work, and spend their spare time in the pursuit of happiness, whether that means time with family and friends, or books, or video games, or hobbies. In my metaphor, the wolves are the businesses who exploit people with predatory practices, such as advertisements based on consumer neuroscience brain studies that are designed to literally hack people's decision-making processes, and social media platforms that are intentionally designed to be addictive by feeding a constant stream of fresh rage bait to people to keep them engaged and outraged while our country turns on itself due to tribalism. These type of companies are why I name my channel Business Reform. I love the entrepreneurial spirit in small businesses, but I have noticed a common trend that when small businesses grow too large, the once customer-focused businesses often turn into shareholder-focused corporations who look for every way possible to exploit people. Companies today are engaging in all types of predatory type behavior, from making common features on new cars, such as heated seats and remote start, a perpetual subscription fee, to hiding cancel buttons or requiring people to call and talk to someone to cancel a subscription, to secretly collecting and selling second-by-second details about what a person watches on their television set, to putting RFID tags in $50 refrigerator water filters so customers can't use generic $13 water filters, thus costing consumers thousands of dollars extra over the life of the refrigerator. In my metaphor, that leaves people like me to be the sheepdogs trying to protect people from the corporate and government wolves, trying to exploit their money and prey upon their rights, freedom, and personal autonomy. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next two videos in this series that will examine Palantir and social credit scores. Also, I have several speaking events coming up over the next few months, including the Great Create Freedom Fest in Ackworth, Georgia on November 8, and 3 Brushfires of Freedom tour stops in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Chicago, Illinois, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Please visit brushfirestour.com for more details. There really is strength in numbers, and I hope this video has encouraged and emboldened you to speak up on issues you care about and to exercise your rights. I can't wait to read your comments.